second. Hey, while we wait for a few people to jump in, I thought I would tell you a fun fact about me. Maybe not a fun fact, maybe a boring fact. I don't drink coffee in the morning. I drink tea, hot tea. And I'm super boring, nothing flavored, nothing herbal. I do like the caffeine. I drink a cup of hot English breakfast tea. Got some right here this morning. No milk, no sugar. I do drink coffee, but like wimpy coffee, like the fancy kind that they blended with lots of sugar and whipped cream or cappuccino with cinnamon on top or whatever. But I never drink coffee in the morning. I don't know, something about the milk and the sugar and all that. I love tea. Do we have any tea drinkers out there this morning? Or if you're a coffee drinker, I see Charlotte, you're a tea drinker. That's awesome. Ken Hester, you don't drink coffee either. You should try tea. It's really great. If you're a southerner and you like tea, like iced tea, then you might really like hot tea. But somebody is on here telling me they drink herbal tea first thing in the morning. You really gotta go with the caffeinated tea. Peppermint tea, now you really need to try the English breakfast because it gives you a little bit of caffeine. Jess Mitchell's on with us. She's a coffee drinker. Okay, Patty the foodie, she's got the teacups. I don't know if those are teacups or coffee cups. We got some chai tea. Heather Julie likes Bojangles tea. That's sweet tea. Okay, if you're just joining us, you haven't missed anything. We're having a coffee and tea debate, and you haven't missed anything. Enough about that. Okay, we are in week 5 of our 7-week journey. And I'm just wondering, are there any people out there that have seen all of the teachings? You haven't missed one. Anybody out there that's seen all of them? I haven't missed any of them. Now, I haven't hit them all live, obviously, but I've gone back. If I've missed one, I've gone back and watched every single one. And I really hope that if these 7 at 7 devotionals have meant a lot to you, if you've missed any, that you'll take the time. You can go back on our Elevation Church Facebook account or YouTube account and go back and watch the ones that you've missed. So I really encourage you to do that. Patricia hasn't missed one. Alex says, I have. I think that means Alex has seen them all. But anyway, I really encourage you to go back. These things have been an amazing blessing, even to me, and I know to a lot of other people. And so let's jump in. So today we're on this journey, and we're talking about the 7 last sayings of Christ. We are on mile 5, and our word comes from John 19:28, when Jesus cried out on the cross, I thirst. And our word for this mile is distress. We all experience distress at different stages in our lives, and pain comes in all shapes and sizes. It can come on really quickly and then leave like an aftermath that you have to clean up, or it can linger on and go on and on with seemingly no end. And what's distressing for me may not be distressing to you, or maybe it may not be distressing compared to what somebody else is going through. But if you're hurting, you're hurting. And it doesn't matter if it's a stupid thing that you're hurting over or a major thing that you're hurting over. Distress is painful. And as I was preparing for this little 7-minute teaching, the verse that just immediately came to my mind was in Psalm 23. And Psalm 23 is one of the most familiar passages in the Bible. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I actually have a vivid memory of memorizing this passage of scripture when I was in kindergarten. And I remember every morning we would recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would say, the Lord is my shepherd, in the King James Version. So I'm going to use the King James Version this morning, but I'm only going to talk about one verse, which is Psalm 23:4, where it says, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. All of our valleys are different. And like I said, some of our valleys are longer than others. And some of you watching may be dealing with a long valley, like dealing with a loved one with a long-term illness, or maybe a child with a disability. Others may be struggling with the loss of a job, which is hopefully a temporary situation. the loss of a relationship. Maybe you're going through a divorce, the loss of a loved one. Maybe you've had someone leave this earth from you recently and you're grieving. Others of us may be in physical pain or emotional pain. And no matter what your valley is this morning, maybe you're not in a valley, but you've just come through one. This morning, I want to take a minute and break this little verse down and maybe bring you a little bit of encouragement if you're in a valley. So the first part of the verse says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley." You know, life is full of mountaintops and valleys. And we all want the mountaintop, but we don't want to have to go through the valley to get to the mountaintop. But you can't avoid the valley. But there's one thing that you can do. You can keep walking. The scripture says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley." I don't have to camp there. I don't have to lay down there and die in the valley. I can walk through the valley. And if you're in a valley today, I just want to encourage you, keep walking. Don't stop. Keep moving. Keep leaning into God. Keep attending church. Keep praying, even though it hurts. Keep worshiping. Keep a grateful heart. Keep walking. Don't stop. The verse goes on to say, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." You know, several years ago, my husband and I were going through a difficult season. And honestly, it felt like we were just being attacked. And it kept going and going and going. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those situations where, you know, this is going to be hard. But it's okay, I'm a strong woman and I can get through it. But like after a while, when it keeps going and going and your strength just gets wearier and wearier. And I remember one day I was talking to my mom on the phone and she shared with me, she was talking about this passage of scripture and she said, "Holly, just remember, it's just a shadow of death. It's not actually death. It feels dark because it's a shadow, but it's a shadow of death." Maybe you need to be reminded today that yes, this hurts, and yes, this keeps going, and yes, this feels like maybe this is the end, but it's just a shadow. The enemy wants you to think that your valley is darker than it really is. It's just a shadow. So then the verse finishes off by saying, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." You know, you don't have to go through your valley alone. A couple of years ago, my extended family was going through a full-blown crisis. Like one of those crises where you can remember exactly where you were standing when somebody delivered the bad news to you. Do you know that feeling? Have you ever been in that situation? And the situation with my family continued to escalate. And the thing was, this particular crisis was so personal that and it wasn't really my thing to share, and most of my friends didn't even know the extent of what I was going through. And I vividly remember one particular day, I was so eaten up with anxiety that I felt physically ill. And all I wanted to do was crawl under my covers and stay there forever. And have you ever been there and felt that feeling where you're I just literally do not think that I can go on? And I remember in that moment just praying this simple little prayer. And I said, "Lord, I cannot do this without you." And honestly, I thought, you know, this is a very difficult time for me. And I remember in that moment just praying, and honestly, what I'm trying to say is I don't remember what the rest of the day was like, but I didn't get in the bed. And the Lord was with me, and He sustained me. And I know what it's like to be in one of these seasons where it's so dark, and you wake up in the morning and you feel like, oh, this again, this nightmare every day, and you open your eyes, and it's not those times, you know, when you're in the mountaintop times, you may wake up in the morning and you're like, "Oh, I should read my Bible, I should get along with God." But when you're in the valley, it's not "Oh, I should read my Bible maybe if I get to it today." It's "God, I'm opening up your word, because if you don't give me something, I don't think I can function. God, I cannot breathe without your presence in my life." I was thirsty during that time in my life. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm trying to get you to see that we will all experience mountaintops and valleys in our lives. And the mountaintops are awesome when we get to see God come through and move on our behalf and answer a prayer. But the valley, the place where I thirst, is the very spot where the water is. The problem is when I get thirsty, I often try to quench my thirst in the wrong places. Maybe I look to others around me, but people can't give you what you're looking for when you're truly thirsty, find no satisfaction. Maybe we try to numb the pain, but we wake up every day and the pain is still there. Maybe we try to ignore it, but it's that kind of pain that just will not be ignored. Jesus said, "Come unto me, all you who are weary, all you who are thirsty." He is with you in the valley. Now, I'm not saying that God's going to zap you out of your difficult situation or make everything better. In fact, my extended family is still recovering from this crisis that we went through 2 years ago. But I am saying that Jesus will walk beside you through it all. He will give you the sustaining grace that you need, even if it's a moment by moment basis. I love this quote from my husband's book, Crash the Chatterbox. I know that's kind of an old book, but it's a book that really means a lot to me. And in the book, he says, "Only the people who have been to the absolute bottom have the right to report with full veracity. God himself is at the bottom. His voice is there. And when there is only silence, he is still there." There's water in the valley. The water's not on the mountaintop. The water is in the valley. And Jesus is there with you. He is the living well. He is the source of life that you can run to, that you can cry out to when you are in the valley. If you're in a valley today, I hope that you will keep walking. I hope that you will remember it's just a shadow. I hope that you will take a drink while you're there from the well that won't run dry. That's all I have for today. Don't forget, you can go back into Facebook or the YouTube archives and watch all the 7 at 7 devotionals that you've missed. If you watch one that's meant a lot to you, don't forget to share it with a friend. And obviously, I know you've heard a lot about this book. If you've been reading it, this is my copy. It's a paperback copy, but grab this book, 7 at 7. It's a really, really great book. It's going to minister to you. And I hope you'll be joining us for church this weekend, whether you attend one of our campuses in person or you're part of our eFam. Pastor Stephen is going to be there. He's going to be preaching on this word distress, and you know it's going to be good. Hey, have a great day.